$1 million, free to play. You just need to survive. It's the Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Pick one team to win each week. Get it right, move on. Get it wrong, you're out. The last fans standing take home a guaranteed $1 million cash prize. And for every player who joins, we add $1 to the pot, up to $10 million. The Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Play free on the Fanatics app. App access open to all. Must be 21 plus and joined by 9/8 to play. No purchase necessary. U.S. only. Void where prohibited. Subject to complete terms. See fanatics.com/game rules.
Hey, it's me, shakeable, breakable, unmistakable Claptrap. But don't break me, break free in Borderlands 4, the newest, bestest looter shooter you can play with friends. Everything's better with friends, and I would totally know. Pre-order Borderlands 4 now.
Rated mature.
What if buying a new appliance felt like a win for your home and your wallet? Save up to 50%, plus up to an extra $600 on select major appliances at the Best Buy Appliances Labor Day sale. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you.
Ooh.
Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
You don't technically need this car. You say that out loud to yourself. You say, I have no space. You say, I'm just looking. Then you click. Then you zoom in on photo number 87 and whisper, oh no. Then you text a friend, the one who always enables you. You say to yourself, this is the last one, knowing it is not. You don't need this car. But maybe, just maybe, this car needs you. Bring a trailer. It's never just a car.
Welcome to Please Me, the award-winning sexuality podcast bringing you bold conversations and big clit energy. I'm Eve, your host, on a journey from trauma to sexual liberation. Join me and my guests as we dive into conversations around orgasm equality, self-love, body positivity, and essential sex education. Let's reclaim pleasure and close the orgasm gap, one empowering conversation at a time. Did you catch last week's webinar, Embracing Big Clit Energy? It's a must-watch for anyone looking to boost sexual confidence, explore body positivity, and embrace sex-positive living. This week, don't miss our next powerful session, Painful Sex No More, designed to help you reclaim pleasure and address the root cause of painful intimacy. For the next couple weeks, I'm sharing exclusive webinars I've hosted live on SDC.com, the top ethical non-monogamy dating platform and a leading source for alternative. By the Please Me Health Collective, these free monthly sessions explore sexual health, pleasure, empowerment, and biohacking for sexual wellness. Check the show notes for a free trial code and check out my next free webinar, A Gift from Me to You. Come join this transformative community. A huge thank you to everyone leaving reviews. Please Me continues to rank in the top 10 sexuality podcasts. We're now the #1 sexuality podcast in Thailand and have charted as high as #2 in Iceland, Indonesia, and Turkey. Your support across the U.S. and around the world means everything. Keep the love coming by rating the show and sharing episodes far and wide. Want more? Join me on Patreon for ad-free episodes, bonus content, and early access. Your membership helps sustain the show and keeps Please Me free for everyone. Prefer to read? Subscribe to my newsletter on Substack for exclusive updates and more Please Me news. Please Me is for mature audiences. Sit back, relax, and surrender to the pleasure of Please Me. ASN Lifestyle Magazine is your go-to source for sex-positive, sophisticated content covering everything from the swinger lifestyle and adult entertainment to intimacy, wellness, and more. You can read every digital issue for free, and subscribers get access to exclusive content. See the show notes for the link to subscribe and check out their Instagram. I'm excited to share that I now have a monthly column in ASN called Big Clit Energy, a Please Me series. Don't miss it and subscribe today. Good morning. How is everybody doing today? Can everybody hear me? I just need some messages in the chat to let me know that you can hear me well. Yes, you hear? Okay, perfect. Thank you guys for coming today. I see I have some listeners already here on SDC, and I'm expecting some more. So just come on in, and we're going to get started Welcome to Painful Sex No More. My name is Eve Hall. I am a licensed physical therapist that treats pelvic floor conditions. And I also have a podcast called Please Me, and it aims to destigmatize conversations about sex and sexual health. And so I would love for you to listen into my podcast. It's a really great show. I talk about all things sexy and lots of sexual health stuff as well. So this is a topic that I have covered on one of my shows. And so we're going to just kind of expand on that today, because when I did it for my show, it was under 20 minutes, a quick, short talk about painful sex. And if anybody has experienced that, you know that it can be really frustrating and hard to kind of get around. So we're going to be talking about that today. If you want to leave in the chat where you guys are coming from, I would love to hear where you're listening in on. I am in Palm Beach County, Florida. That's where I live. And I have a practice here in Montreal. Okay, welcome. Inspire Health Physical Therapy and Wellness. And I specialize in sexual health and treating the pelvic floor, treating things like painful sex, treating things like erectile dysfunction and decreased vaginal sensitivity and dryness, which is actually the female equivalent of the same condition, erectile dysfunction. One of the things that goes along with erectile dysfunction, you may or may not know, is premature ejaculation. So I treat that as well. If you've ever heard of a fractured penis, that is also a condition that can be treated in my practice. And sometimes there can be a narrowing of the urethra, which is the tube that goes from the bladder out of the penis. And can be scar tissue that forms around that area. And sometimes it comes from an injury like a fractured penis. That's when the penis starts to curve to one side. And that also can be treated in my practice. So I just wanted to cover a little bit about what I do in my practice. And today we're going to be talking specifically about painful sex. Yes, I know some of these issues can be scary. The fractured penis one is actually something that's very common, and it is usually caused by a blunt trauma to the penis, usually during sex. Okay. And so what happens is it fractures a part of the anatomy of the penis internally. And so the penis when it starts to heal, it starts to curve. And so that scar tissue needs to be broken up, or it can really develop a big curve. And you maybe have seen penises like that. There's a lot of curved ones out there. That's usually because they had some kind of blunt injury at some point. And let's talk about painful sex today. So the term painful sex in medical terminology is called dyspareunia. And dyspareunia is the recurrent and persistent pain during sexual intercourse. The prevalence of it is between 10 and 20% of women experience dyspareunia. And it has an impact on our emotional health, our relational health, our mental health. It can even cause anxiety and depression. Or anxiety and depression can feed into the dyspareunia as well. Painful sex can go both ways. Typically, we think about a woman having painful sex, not necessarily a man, but a man can also have painful sex as well. So, but it is much more common in women. And some of the causes of dyspareunia or painful sex are vaginal dryness, which we're going to kind of talk about a lot about because there's a lot of reasons why that could be. Infections can cause painful sex. Hormone imbalances can cause painful sex, especially a decrease in estrogen. Estrogen is very, very important to keep moisture going in the vagina. So we're going to talk about that too. Conditions like endometriosis and pelvic floor dysfunction. Pelvic floor dysfunction is a weakening of the pelvic floor, or even the vagina, which is really just a whole bunch of muscles, right? So all of that can become weakened over time. And so things like vaginal atrophy can occur. And atrophy is just the weakening of a muscle anywhere in the body, right? But vaginal atrophy refers to the weakening of the muscles of the vagina and the pelvic floor. So it's really important to keep those muscles strong, just like we work out and we stay strong and fit in our bodies. It's super important to also keep the muscles in our vagina strong as well. So I'm just going to take a break here and look at all of my notes. Oh, Dubai. Hello, Dubai. How are you? Montrealer, 2 Montrealers. Lovely. Nice to have you guys here. I am here in the US and we love our Canadians, okay? Our Canadian neighbors. All right, let's see. Okay. All righty. So we have, tell me where you're from, you guys. There's more of you there. So if you want to just put it in the chat, let me know where you're coming from. And I'd love to hear where you are in the world. And, you know, I love to do these webinars on SDC because they are just incredible. People from all over the world will be watching, and SDC is such a great site for that. It's worldwide. So I just love doing these webinars because I get to talk to people from all over the world, which is super, super cool. Okay, so we talked about the prevalence already, 10 to 20%, right, of women experience painful sex. However, there's a caveat to that. It is believed that 3 out of 4 women will experience painful sex in their lifetime. So 10 to 20% will experience it like all the time, right? But 3 out of 4 women will experience painful sex at some point in their lives. That's a lot of people, okay? And we are not talking about this, which is the reason why it's so important to have these conversations. And again, I love SCC for giving us the opportunity to really dive into these conversations of education. It's so important for people to understand what causes these things, because sometimes it's an easy fix. And that's what I want everybody to like really come away from listening to this topic, because there are things that you can do to minimize or eliminate painful sex. So there's the difference between dyspareunia, which is the prevalence of painful sex, right? Or the persistence of painful sex. And then there's something called vaginismus. Vaginismus is a whole nother animal, okay? It is the involuntary contractions of your muscles in your vagina. And it is extremely painful. And sometimes the causes of vaginismus are psychological, okay? So it could be past trauma. It could be anxiety. It could be fear of pain. So if you're afraid that you've had painful sex in the past and you automatically sort of tense up, that can also cause vaginismus. So there's a difference between dyspareunia and vaginismus, which is involuntary contractions of the muscles of the vagina and sometimes the pelvic floor gets involved as well. And so that is something that a physical therapist can actually check to see if you're having these muscle contractions. And if you've ever had a Charlie horse, you know, in your calf, or a pulled muscle, you know how, or a muscle spasm, right? If you don't drink enough water and you are dehydrated, your muscles can start to spasm, especially if you are exercising or maybe you twist the wrong way. You can have a muscle spasm and it's extremely painful. And this is the exact same thing as vaginismus. Vaginismus is the involuntary contraction of muscles. And So that is a whole nother thing that can happen to women. And so there are reasons. The reasons that we already talked about were psychological causes, past trauma, if you've experienced any kind of sexual abuse in the past, any kind of sexual trauma, that can really lead to these involuntary contractions. And it can make sex, penetration specifically, it can make penetration extremely painful or even impossible, not allowing anything to enter into the vaginal cavity. Some of the symptoms, okay, we already talked about that. See, I'm like kind of jumping ahead. I'm all over the place. Are the involuntary muscle spasms. And so has anybody ever experienced that before? Have you ever had a muscle spasm that, you know, all of a sudden, maybe when you turn your neck and you get that like zinger in your neck, that's like a really painful muscle spasm, right? Yeah, exactly. Leo, I totally agree with you. Anyway, we're not all the same, okay? I was just talking to a neighbor of mine this morning. She just came from being out of the country, and anyway. So we won't even go into that now. We're talking about sex. We're not talking about politics. We're not going to jump into any of that today. So, okay. Let's see where I am. Okay, so I said that, the prevalence, I didn't say the prevalence of vaginismus, which is the muscle spasms, okay? 1 out of 10 women will experience vaginismus. And it could be that it's more than that, of course, right? Because many of these conditions go underreported, as does sexual abuse, sexual trauma, sexual assault, because of the stigma around reporting. So, and because people are ashamed or afraid to talk to their doctors about it, which is really a big travesty, because we really should be trusting our doctors to be able to take care of us. But oftentimes as women, you know, we find that when we go to our doctors, we're often dismissed. And this is very, very common. Anyway, so, you know, there are reasons why women just decide not to say anything, right? Because if you aren't being respected or listened to by your doctor, why would you think that they were going to suddenly listen to you about this? So it's very possible that, the prevalence might be even more than 1 out of 10. But we know that 1 out of 10 women do experience vaginismus. And again, if you go to a pelvic floor physical therapist, the pelvic floor physical therapist would do an internal exam, okay, putting their finger basically inside your vagina, and they can feel if your body is having these involuntary spasms. And sometimes you may not even realize that you're having involuntary spasms of those muscles. And so a lot of times people will say, oh, well, strengthen your pelvic floor, do Kegels, etc. And yes, all of that is really good. But if you're having vaginismus, that is the worst thing you can do, is trying to strengthen muscles on top of spasms. So if you think about having a Charlie horse in your calf, right? You're not going to go and like lift weights and like do, toe raises, right? You're not going to do that if you are having a spasm in your calves, right? But if you're having a spasm in your vagina, also, you're not going to go and exercise those same muscles that are spasming. The spasming needs to be reduced before you can do any kind of exercise. So if you are experiencing something like this, and, I hope that we have some women listeners here, because this is what we're talking about today. But, the men, it's important for men to know too, you guys have women partners, and this is some information that you can share with them. So absolutely, if you are having painful sex, or if you're having, discomfort in the nether regions, right? You should go seek professional help so that you can find out exactly what's going on with your muscle spasms, if you're having muscle spasms or not. If you are not having muscle spasms, then it is safe to exercise. So let's talk about prepping for painless sex, right? So some of the things that we can do to prep for painless sex is to really prepare the body for intercourse, okay? And when you think about sex is not just penetration, right? Sex can be devoid of penetration. Sex could be, all things and no penetration at all. But we're going to be talking about penetrative sex today, okay? So the things that we can do to prepare a woman's body for penetration are, one, thinking about the whole entire body as being an erogenous zone, okay? Not just the genitalia and the breasts, okay? The entire body is an erogenous zone. When your body is experiencing sensual pleasure, your body experiences that sensual pleasure and your body processes that sensual pleasure in the area of your brain that is the clitoral area of your brain, okay? So if you are over here kissing on my neck or, wherever that may be, on my lower back or wherever you like to be touched, okay? And I am experiencing it and perceiving it as sensual and sexual pleasure, the part of my brain that's going to light up is my clitoral area of the brain. So that's why a lot of people will say, oh, there's many different types of orgasms, right? There's nipple orgasms, there's, whatever, toe sucking orgasms. There's a million types of orgasms, right? But the bottom line is that no matter what part of the body that's being stimulated, you're going to feel the sensation of that area in that area of the brain, but you're also going to perceive the sensual pleasure in your clitoral area of your brain. So everything kind of just gets redirected there. And that's what's so amazing about our bodies is that they're all interconnected. And unfortunately, in medicine today, right, the way that they practice now in Western medicine, at least, is that, you have the cardiologist for your heart, and then you have the dermatologist for your skin, and then you have the ear, nose, and throat doctor for, up here, your head. But truly, we are all interconnected. All of our connective tissue, all of our nerves, everything is interconnected. And that's what's so amazing to me when you're talking about orgasms and all of the different ways that we can experience orgasms. It really is an interconnected network of nerves that go to that area of the brain that perceives sensual and sexual pleasure. So for women need between 20 to 25 at least minutes of external clitoral stimulation in order to get to orgasm. Okay, so it's very rare that women can orgasm from penetration alone. So there are some lucky ladies out there. 3 to 5% of women can orgasm from penetration alone. Oftentimes, though, and there's a caveat to that. Oftentimes, though, if it's just penetration, it's often also because their body is in a position where they're rubbing their external clitoral area as well, and then they can orgasm from penetration. However, 95% of women need external clitoral stimulation in order to orgasm. So, and the body also needs to be prepared, right? So 20 to 25 minutes of stimulation of the entire body, thinking about the entire body as being an erogenous zone prior to any penetration. What's amazing about the female body, and I find this fascinating, is that when you give it that time, okay, when you give it that 20 to 25 minutes at least of external clitoral stimulation, as well as thinking about the whole body as an erogenous zone and stimulating lots of different parts, right? The actual vagina, it's basically, it collapses on itself, right? But the actual vagina will elongate to get ready for penetration. So it actually gets longer, okay? And if you're not giving yourself that time for it to sort of shift and be prepared, you may also be causing painful sex. And then also during that time, blood flows to the vagina, the vulva, okay, which are the labia, the lips, right? and then the clitoris. And the clitoris is the female equivalent of the man's penis. And a lot of people don't realize this, but the clitoris must be engorged before penetration so that it's painful. So an engorged clitoris is the same thing as an engorged penis, right? When the blood flows to the penis, it gets hard and it's ready for penetration. And it's very obvious to see, right? Everybody loves showing off their wonderful penises in live rooms, right? On STC. And so it's a very obvious thing for a man, but for a woman's clitoris absolutely has to become engorged, filled with blood before penetration occurs. So thinking about, the whole body as an erogenous zone, sort of a holistic sensual experience is what we're thinking about. Foreplay is important. Okay. So foreplay is so important for women. And I'm talking about, it could be really anything. If you're talking about, BDSM, you can incorporate impact play, sensory play, temperature play, or if you are not into that, you can touch, you can use toys. There's a variety of toys out there. On my website, pleaseme.online, I have a whole bunch of toys, my favorite ones that I love to use myself. And so you can check that out later, but absolutely incorporating toys into the bedroom is going to help you to get there. And I always love talking about the orgasm gap. The orgasm gap is a phenomenon, if you're not familiar with it, where men have more orgasms than women do. Okay. And what I want to do with my education is to really help women to close that orgasm gap. And the way that we close it is by educating and by empowering women and the men who love them. Okay. Because through that education, we are going to be able to really satisfy our partners even more. And that is why my show is called Please Me, okay? Because I think it's so important to have this communication, this open communication between partners in order for us to be able to share what our desires are, what our needs are, what our wants are. Not only that, but in the moment to say a little to the left, slow down a little bit or speed up, whatever it may be, feeling really open to having these conversations. I know that it's really hard sometimes to start having these conversations, but each time you have a conversation like this, it gets easier for the next time. So absolutely, talking to your partner about the things that you want and in the moment, telling them exactly what you need. Because sometimes, they hit the spot and you're like right there, that's the spot right there. And then suddenly they speed up and you're like, wait a minute, that was the spot, but you missed, you changed the movement. So we need to make sure that we are delivering the message clearly to our partners so that we can get our needs met. Okay, so we are going to talk about some of the reasons why there may be painful sex. So we already talked about prepping for sex, okay? And another thing that before I move on to the next section, I want to talk about positions, right? Sexual positions. So on my show in season 1, and I think in season 2 too, we talked about our favorite sex positions. And actually Lexi's right here on my wall. She was on my show and she's on the chat right now. And we talked about our favorite sex positions, and our favorite sex positions, Lexi and I think I remember correctly, and mine were reverse cowboy. And why I love reverse cowboy is because I can reach down with my vibrator or my hand and pleasure myself externally while I'm also getting penetrated, okay? And so positions that allow you to be able to stimulate the clitoris as well as be penetrated are wonderful positions. Yes, Lexi, right? I love it. So reverse cowgirl is a really good one. But if you're having muscle spasms, right, and you're on top, your legs are really contracting to hold you up and to be able to, move in that position. So that is going to be a harder position if you're having muscle spasms or you're having painful sex. That's going to be a harder position because you have to be tensed up. Your muscles have to be holding you up. So a really great position to think about if you have painful sex is side lying. So both partners side lying, doing the spoon, right, with the male partner in the back. And that position is really relaxing. You can prop yourself up with pillows.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Got a car to sell but no time to waste? Hop on to Carvana.com to get a real offer for your car in seconds. All you have to do is enter your license plate, answer a few quick questions, and if you accept the offer, Carvana will pay you as soon as you hand the keys over. They even offer same-day pickup in many cities. Save your time, score some cash, and sell your car the convenient way to Carvana. Pickup times vary. Fees may apply.
The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. That's why you need Shopify. They'll help you create a convenient, unified command center for whatever your business throws at you, whether you sell online, in-store, or both. You can sell the way you want, attract the customers you need, and keep them coming back. Turn those what-ifs into why-nots with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Comcast is committed to bringing access to the internet to all Americans, including rural communities across the country, like Sussex County, Delaware.
We were being left behind. Everybody around us seemed to have internet, but we did not. High-speed internet is one of those good things that we needed to help us move our farming, our small businesses, our recreation forward.
Learn more about how we're bringing our next-generation network to more people across the country at ComcastCorporation.com/investment in America.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kann du Norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Again, sex pillows, there are so many different kinds. If you check out on pleaseme.online, I have a plethora of different sex pillows that are amazing to really get you in great positions. But side lying is a really great and relaxed position for your body to be sort of more relaxed in order to be able to allow that penetration to occur without tensing up even more of the muscles in that area. So that's a really good position. And if you can think of another really relaxing position, plug it into the chat. I would love to hear your guys' idea. But I really love that side lying position too, because you're very relaxed, but you still have the ability to move a lot. Okay, because if your body is bent up, sort of like your knees are a little bit bent, and your waist is a little bit bent forward, you can straighten your body out and you can have a lot of movement to your body in that position. So it seems like it can be a really super lazy position, but it also can be a really active position too. So try that out if you haven't tried that, especially if you're experiencing painful sex. And then, of course, relaxation techniques are something that really can help to relax your body. and your mind and everything, right? And so mindfulness and deep breathing techniques are something that you can do prior to sexual activity, or you can do it while you're experiencing foreplay. Like if your partner is going down on you, you can really focus on mindfulness and really getting in tune with your body and getting present. And then you can do breathing techniques that can help to slow your breathing down, slow your heart rate down, and and relax your muscles. So thinking about doing those things either before with your partner if you want, or during the foreplay. It's a great time to practice mindfulness and relaxation. Okay, so now let's jump into the next part. So nobody had any ideas about, positions? I'm surprised. Come on now. This is SDC. You guys have to have some good ideas. Another kind of relaxing position that I can think of if you have a swing is to be prone on the swing, which would be on your tummy on the swing. It's very supported, and so you're not having to hold yourself up like doggy style. In doggy style, you kind of have to hold yourself up and tense your muscles so that you don't fall over. Also, laying flat on the bed on the edge can also be really relaxed, a more relaxed position too, because your whole body is supported and your feet are on the floor, but you're not really holding yourself up. The bed is holding you up, right? Okay, so in doggy style, to make it more relaxing would be to add some pillows. Exactly. You can put pillows underneath you, or you can lay on the bed itself, and just kind of be like off the bed, your legs off the bed, but your body is on the bed. So it's not quite doggy style, because doggy style, you need to be kind of like on your hands and knees, but it's a similar position where you're accepting, receiving from the back, right? Yes. So definitely those are some ideas to really kind of have a relaxed position in order to allow penetration to be less painful. Talk about the hormone issues and the role that hormones play in painful sex. And I'm going to talk specifically about estrogen, but, hormonal fluctuations can happen throughout a woman's life during, childbirth, during, menopause, or even during periods, right? Our hormones fluctuate, round and round we go all the way until we have a kid, and then around and round they go until, we have menopause. And so our hormones are constantly fluctuating. And so it can cause a decrease in estrogen, can cause dryness, vaginal dryness. And also, if you have a severe decrease in estrogen, it can also cause the body to create these little tiny, almost like little cuts in the skin. And people will say that their skin feels like papery and very tender and very fine, like weak. The skin becomes weak, and that's caused by a lack of estrogen. And if you think of the skin as being sort of like a chain link fence, right? And one of the links in that chain link fence that repeats over and over again is an estrogen receptor. And the estrogen receptor doesn't have any estrogen attached to it because there's no estrogen in the body, or the estrogen is low. Then that linked fence is going to become weak. And so the same goes with the skin. If the skin doesn't have the estrogen to be inside the receptors, then the skin is going to become very weak, and it's going to become papery thin, and it might develop these little tiny micro tears. And when you have anything inserted inside of it, it's going to be extremely painful. A lot of times people will say that it feels like there's razor blades down there when someone, tries to penetrate them, and that is extremely painful. So if that's the case, adding estrogen to your body can be very helpful, and that would be hormone replacement therapy. You can either talk to your doctor about getting hormone replacement therapy. You can also get it over the counter There's a product that you can look at on my website, pleaseme.online. You can go to my products and go to the affiliates. It's called Parlor Games. Parlor Games has a vaginal cream that you can put on your vulva and your external vaginal opening on your labia, and it absorbs into the tissue and helps you to regain that estrogen. They also have progesterone, which you don't put there, you put it like on the inside of your arms. And so that's an amazing, amazing product to get over-the-counter hormone replacement therapy. And unfortunately, when we go to the doctors, like we talked about earlier, sometimes you will ask for hormone replacement therapy and the doctor won't give it to you. For instance, for me, for the last 2 years, I've gone to the gynecologist and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm in perimenopause. I need some hormone replacement therapy." And they said, "Not until you are in menopause, meaning you're no longer getting your period, will we give you that." And that's ridiculous because your hormones are plummeting over time, right? So for white women, they can experience menopause for maybe 4 to 6 years. For Latina women, more like, I don't know, I can't remember the exact numbers, so I'm just going to throw these numbers out there, but this is close, right? So for Latina women, more like 6 to 9 years. And then for Black women, they can experience peri through menopause up to 10 or 12 years. So, it is a gradual decrease in the hormones that you need in order to feel vibrant and amazing, right? And so why wouldn't we give our body these hormones that we need to feel amazing? And so why wouldn't you give your body the hormones that they need? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with giving your body these hormones, okay? It's been proven over and over again that they do not cause cancer, so they are safe to take. And so sometimes you need to find a hormone doctor that will help you to get this kind of medication. And they'll typically do a host of blood work to see where your levels are. And then they will help you to kind of level those levels out so that you can feel your best. Because, yes, it is normal during menopause for your hormone levels to go down, but it's not optimal. And what we want is optimal health, right? We don't want to, be old and like laying in bed bound. We want to get old and we want to be vibrant. We want to be able to, do all of the amazing things that we can do, right? So it's important to take care of your health throughout your life so that you are taking care of it so that when we get to our 80s and 90s and beyond, we're able to experience these amazing bodies that we have and, the sensual bodies that we have. Fluctuations are so important. And estrogen plays a huge role in vaginal dryness. When you don't have enough estrogen, you're going to have vaginal dryness and you might have those little micro tears. So estrogen is super important. Blood flow. Blood flow is extremely important for vaginal dryness. And so let me talk about that. So like I said before, the man's penis needs to be engorged, right? It needs to fill up with blood in order to get hard. The woman's vagina and clitoris also needs to be filled with blood and get engorged as well. Now, if you have a lack of blood flow to the area, that can be caused by things like high cholesterol. If you have a heart condition and you have high cholesterol, often you will start to experience, as a man, erectile dysfunction before you know about your heart condition. It is a precursor to erectile dysfunction. So I always say if you have erectile dysfunction or if you're starting to experience it, I would see a cardiologist to make sure that your heart is safe. Because, a lot of times they just give you like the blue pill and you can have a heart attack when taking that. That really increases your heart rate and it can be a very dangerous medication to take. And it's a quick fix in the moment, but it doesn't do anything to mitigate the actual cause of the blood flow issue, which is blockages in your blood vessels. And blockages in your blood vessels can be fatal. If you have a blockage in your heart, it can kill you, right? Blockages in your blood vessels in your genital area are a problem too, because guess what? It causes erectile dysfunction. It also causes vaginal dryness, okay? And decreased sensitivity as well. But the vaginal dryness, why does it cause vaginal dryness? Well, blood is key for vaginal wetness, okay? When you have if you're doing that 25 minutes of stimulation and you have the clitoris all engorged, the blood is going to flow to that area and it's going to flow to the vagina, okay? And what's going to happen is that the blood has plasma, and the plasma of the blood actually seeps through the walls of the tissue down there, okay? And it lubricates your body. And so if you don't have enough blood flow to the area, you are going to have vaginal dryness. So it's super important to get that blood flowing down there to get as wet as possible before penetration. And then, of course, if you're having sex for long periods of time, or if you do experience vaginal dryness, there are so many different lubes that you can use. You can start off with something really simple like coconut oil. Most people have that in their, pantry, in the kitchen, and try that. Coconut oil is really my favorite. It smells good. It tastes good. But if you experience a lot of vaginal dryness, you might want a lube that's a little bit thicker, more viscous. So try different ones out and see what works for you. I really love Bonnie's Herbals, and Bonnie's Herbals has two different varieties. One of them is just like a moisturizer that you can use all the time. And then their other one is sex butter. That's what it's called. And it has peppermint in it. And the peppermint gives that little extra bit of sensation, so that if you are experiencing a lack of sensation in your vaginal area, this can really help to wake up those cells and make everything feel really amazing. So that's another really great one. And again, if you go to pleaseme.online and you go to my products under the affiliates, I have a link there for Bonnie's Herbals. And actually had Bonnie and Bonnie on the show, and they talked about their incredible products. They're all natural. So I love that, because, you don't want to put chemicals in your body, and especially inside your vagina, right? Because that skin is a mucosal membrane and it absorbs everything that you put in it. So if you're putting things, look at the bottle of the lubes that you're buying. Does it have a bunch of stuff you can't pronounce? That is not stuff you should be putting inside your body, right? So think about the things that you're putting on your skin, because your skin absorbs, and especially your mucosal membranes, the inside of your mouth, your eyes, your nose, the inside of your vagina, and even the inside of your anus, okay? All of that is going to absorb anything that you put on it. So you want to make sure that you're putting all natural products there. It's very, very important. Okay, so we talked about lubricants. That's one thing that you can do to sort of treat painful sex. And then not only that, but using lubricant throughout the experience. So not just at the beginning and then you never put it on again, right? If you're switching positions or you're having extended periods of penetration, what happens is, just like when you're using a towel to dry off your arm, right? It evaporates. So you need to reapply the lubrication and the lubricant throughout sex, okay? So and sometimes it may feel really wet, but there may be one little patch that's internal that you can feel is sort of starting to catch. Make sure that you reapply then, because what happens is, if you are constantly having that friction on a dry spot, you can cause more pain and more of those micro tears. And then later on, after sex, you're going to experience pain. And then also, if you're causing little tiny micro tears, it can predispose you to things like yeast infections or other types of vaginal infections. So lubrication is so, so important. Another thing that we use in physical therapy to treat painful sex are called spacers. Spacers are sort of like a dildo, if you think about a dildo, but they come in lots of different sizes. And if a woman is having painful penetration, We start with a very small spacer and we let it be in the vaginal cavity for a period of time. And then we will gradually work our way up through the spacer sizes to help the woman to get used to having something inserted into the vagina if they're having severe painful sex. So spacers are something that we can use, that we use in physical therapy. We talked about estrogen treatments, either over the counter. Parlor Games is amazing. I use it myself. And so that's another option for over the counter. And then, of course, hormone replacement therapy is something that you would get from your doctor. And there's different types that you can get. There are patches, there's oral forms, there's troches that you can get. They're like little gummies that can help you. And if you are experiencing painful sex, or you're having dryness, or you're having issues and your gynecologist is not listening, look for a doctor that specializes in hormones, in menopause, in that time of life, okay? And I know it's frustrating because you think your gynecologist should know, but unfortunately, they're trained a lot of times in, delivery of babies and not so much menopause. They get much less training in menopause. So a lot of times they don't even know how to treat you. And that's why they wait until, after menopause, after you've already had full menopause, before they start giving you hormone replacement therapy, which is ridiculous because your hormones are decreasing over time. And we want to maintain that optimal health. And then, of course, the last treatment that I'm going to talk about is pelvic floor therapy. And pelvic floor therapy is something that I do in my practice. My practice, Inspire Health Physical Therapy. And I treat conditions like painful sex, and we talked about some of the different ways. I would also be able to see if there were atrophy involved, if there was pelvic floor prolapse, which means that the muscles start to kind of drop down. All of these things are treatable in physical therapy, strengthening the pelvic floor that sort of holds all of those organs in place, and then the vaginal, the vagina, strengthening that as well. All of that can be strengthened. And if you think about it, it's like, oh, well, Kegels and Kegels. Kegels are like one exercise, right? But there are so many different ways that you can strengthen those muscles. And just like any other muscle, there's endurance, there's strength, there's different things. There's fast twitch, there's slow twitch muscles. So you want to strengthen all of the different types of muscles, not just one Kegel exercise fits all. That's not the case, okay? So if you're having issues like incontinence, for instance, incontinence is one of those unsexy conditions that no one wants to talk about, but most women will experience in their lifetime. It's really important to seek help for that, because incontinence is one of those conditions that we don't like to talk about, and nobody wants to say, oh, I pee on myself all the time, right? It's embarrassing. And this is not like sexy pee time. This is like, you're walking down the street and you sneeze and you pee on yourself, or you're jumping rope and you pee on yourself, This is not fun peeing, okay? If that's the case, physical therapy can be extremely beneficial to help you with that. And estrogen plays a key role if you're having incontinence. Sometimes just adding estrogen can help you to eliminate your incontinence. But if that doesn't completely eliminate it, then you can get physical therapy to treat your pelvic floor and to really strengthen all of those muscles down there to help you to eliminate incontinence. Because as we get older, unfortunately, incontinence is one of the main reasons why people are put in nursing homes, because their families can't handle the fact that they have incontinence. And that's such a sad statistic to me, because if that's the only reason why people are being put in a nursing home, because their family can't handle the incontinence, this is something that we should be talking about a lot more and really taking care of ourselves in this way so that we don't experience incontinence later in life. Okay, so we talked about that. Of course, if you're experiencing anxiety, if you're experiencing depression because you have painful sex, or if you have a history of trauma, sexual abuse, therapy and counseling can help. And coaching can help as well. Sometimes you get a lot of therapy and that sort of handles like the past trauma, but you still in your body have trauma that's sort of like still lingering. Okay. Coaching can really help with that as well. I know that Lexi is a really amazing coach, and I also do health coaching. And I also do sensual health coaching as well. So if you need coaching for, either a couple or a single, I am happy to help. So I just want to I want to just say, if anybody has a question, this would be a great time to ask it. And I'm just going to go back and read all of my messages here. See if there's any questions. So no questions, ask questions now or forever hold your peace, right? You can also always reach out to me directly in my messenger. Reach out to me here on SDC, or if you want to go to my website and check out the things that I talked about, the sex toy store that I have, also the Bonnie's herbals, which are really amazing natural lubes that I love. Or what else did I talk about? The pillows. And I don't remember what else I talked about, but all of those things. Go to pleaseme.online, not .com, pleaseme.online. And you can, as long as you're 18 or over, you can visit my website and check it out and get some of those products that can really help with alleviating painful sex. Like I mentioned before, I do health coaching. I do pelvic floor physical therapy. Yes, you would have to be close by me, right? I'm in Palm Beach County, Florida, to receive one-on-one physical therapy, but we can always do a lot virtually. I've done a lot of treatments virtually as well. Sometimes, obviously I can't do the internal examination that that I would do if you came to me in person. But we can certainly talk about the symptoms that you're having and sort of feel out what's going on. There's, manual techniques that would help to alleviate those spasms that a physical therapist can do, but also you can use tools, external tools that can help to also alleviate those spasms. And that would be something that a physical therapist can teach you how to do. Again, my contact information, you can reach me right here on sdc.com. The name of my profile is Please Me. And this program, this webinar is sponsored by Please Me Health Collective, which is my group here on SDC. So if you haven't joined it yet, please join it. I do monthly webinars. They're free for SDC members. And so they're wonderful to listen to. And so absolutely make sure that you sign up for my group so that you can get alerts as to the next webinar and any other activities that I'm doing. And I think that's everything that I have today. If there's any questions, I am absolutely happy to take them now. We have another maybe 4 minutes, then I'm going to be signing off. So absolutely, check out the show. And of course, you're going to be receiving a message after, if you came to the webinar today and you signed up, you're going to be receiving a message from SDC asking you to rate this education. So please leave a rating. Ratings are helpful. It's just like a validation, right? You want to know that people have listened so that other people will join for the next one that we do. So please make sure that you leave a review on SDC for this particular webinar. And if you listen to my show, and please listen to my show, I have almost 100 episodes already. I'm getting close. And so, listen to the show. There's a lot of really great topics on there. I cover everything from BDSM to, I don't even know. Like, there's just so many things we talk about. So, you know, and we talk about sexual health. We talk about all sorts of things. So I had one person on that talked about how acne can affect your sex life, you know, and it was such an interesting episode. And I know for me, I experienced acne for many, many years. I still do sometimes, you know, unfortunately. So it's really important to like really think about these things and like, how can we make ourselves healthier from the inside out so that we're not experiencing these things that are going to help to bring us down in terms of like our body image or self-image. So taking care of yourself is so, so key. So that is what I wish for all of the people listening. Please listen to my show. Please rate the show and rate this webinar as well today. All right. So I can't believe nobody has any questions. This is unbelievable. I guess I covered everything. I was that thorough. I covered every single thing that could possibly go wrong with painful sex. So remember, men, if you're listening, make sure that you prepare your partner for penetration. And remember that the entire body is an erogenous zone. So don't forget to stimulate all of it, okay? All of it is going to be perceived as sensual pleasure, all right? So play and enjoy and experiment and enjoy the amazing bodies that you were given. All right. Have a great day.
Hey, I have a personal question to ask you. Are you experiencing vaginal dryness? Are you looking for an all-natural lube that helps you get the juices flowing? I will give you a tip on what I use. I use Bonnie's Herbals. I use the sex butter for those intimate moments, and I use the boudoir butter for my everyday moisture. And these have been game changers for me. So check out the link in the show notes and get yours today.